Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Goud Crowd. I am your host, Goud, and we are back for another lovely week in paradise. Okay, we have a decent amount to talk about. I thought we'll start on a little bit of a lighter note because I saw this video and I just can't. I think it's the funniest thing. It reminds me of a really good friend of mine, but here you go.
I'm getting kicked out of the nursing home. I just got this letter. It says you're getting kicked out if you don't stop the parties. You could read it. Parties are not allowed, and you cannot serve alcohol to other residents. Letter serves as a formal warning. I could do what I want. I pay $12,000 a month to live here. I could party if I wanna. My girlfriends are coming over tonight. We're gonna drink and gossip. It's not a party, but we do get rowdy. I can't help it. I love to party. You can't stop me. They are here.
Okay. I think that's really great. I hope I'm that energetic when however old that lady is. I liked her t-shirt too, like eyes up here. I don't know if that's an issue that she actually has, but okay. I hope she does. No reason to not be able to enjoy yourself when you're old. Okay, I guess Mr. Producer is just telling me this, but KMMU actually has an interview up with Phil. So you can check that out. I actually haven't seen it, but I know Trent Christensen did it, so it'll probably be really good. Worth a listen at some point. I will not preview it because I don't know what was said. I didn't listen to it. Okay. All right. So today I want to talk about some of the kind of big races that we have going on in the state because the primary is on June 23rd. So it's a week from tomorrow. If you are going to use a mail ballot, your ballot has to arrive at the clerk's office by 8 p.m. on election day. That's important because if you're going to actually put your ballot in the mail, I would recommend doing it like tomorrow at the latest. And then if you get past that, I would go and I would put that mail ballot into a drop box if you're going to use it, or go vote in person. You just need to make sure that it arrives by 8 p.m. on election day. If it shows up late, it won't count. So it doesn't matter what day it was postmarked on. It must be at the clerk's office by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, June 23rd. So, and generally, actually, my own recommendation is I would not use the mail for your ballot. I would, if you're going to use a mail ballot, I would take it to the drop box, drop it in the drop box. Fewer people will touch it. And there's less chances of any shenanigans happening with it, better chain of custody because your county clerk's employees are the ones that actually go and collect the ballots from the drop boxes and they bring them back to the office. So it's fewer non-county clerk people touching your ballot. And then and the best is always to be voting in person. So that would be my recommendation. But we'll talk about kind of the big races that are coming up. And then we had an interesting, we'll talk about the Utah Supreme Court. Maybe we'll start with that because I thought there's an interesting issue about residency that came up. Then there's Kai Schwemmer being hired by the Utah County Clerk. I think that's an interesting story. And specifically because the reaction of these elected, I'll use ladies in quotes, these elected ladies, I don't think many of them are very ladylike, but that are in office and are actually some of the nastiest people in politics in Utah. I mean, nasty people. It's people like Amy Winder Newton. Why you would want her on your team for anything, I don't know. But apparently there are these, they think because and I can tell you what it is. A lot of these women think because they are women in elected office, they can do whatever they want and there's no ramifications. And unfortunately in Utah, that tends to be true. And then we will have Mike Carey on at 6:30, and we'll talk about the issue of the number of votes. There's a little bit of a dispute about whether a vote is someone who switched their vote got counted once or twice. Maybe I'll ask him about the Sarah Montez removal, and then let's try to talk about the future, like what's going forward here, because I am curious what he sees in terms of the primary races, and then what he sees going forward. And I live in Salt Lake County, so it is kind of important to me that we don't let this county turn more blue than it already is. And so I would like to know what we're doing to make that a reality. So, and I get it. Like we have lots of things to deal with, but we also need to think about the future here, right? Because the more blue this gets, the worse it's going to get to live here. And I would really like to prevent that. Yes, Mr. Producer says election day is a week from tomorrow, so June 23rd. So let's start with this Utah Supreme Court thing. So there's two new appointments that have happened to the Supreme Court, and they're going through the vetting process of the Senate right now. And I get, like, I will be honest with you, I'm a little bit confused about what are the most probing types of questions they can ask, because I haven't had time to sit and really listen to the hearings themselves. But if it were me and I was a state senator, I think I'd want to know things like your general philosophy on how you interpret the Utah Constitution. Do you interpret it as the framers of it wrote it, or are you willing to try to interpret it according to kind of modern today's world? I prefer the originalist view of the Constitution, and the reason is that that's what was intended when it was written. And if we want to do something that was not intended at the time it was written, we can change it. But this means that we all have a common understanding of what the constitutional provision means at the time it was written. And then if people in 2026 don't like that interpretation or what the framers of the Constitution intended when they originally wrote it, then you can change it. And maybe you're not successful at changing it, but I feel like that's a better way to govern, because then we all have a common understanding of what the provisions mean and we can operate accordingly. I don't like activist judges that will throw in their own interpretation or change interpretations over time, because I think that makes it difficult to govern. And then it turns your judges into legislators. And so similarly for statutory interpretations, I think you want a similar viewpoint. And that is that it's the legislature's job to legislate, and your job as the courts is to take those laws, apply them to the facts, but you have to interpret those laws as they were written by the legislators. And again, if it turns out there's a deficiency in the law, I don't actually think it's the court's job to fill it in. So they should send it back to the legislature to fix the law. Again, this is just a much clearer way of interpreting, and it makes it easier, I think, to govern. Now, one of the guys that was appointed by Cox is his last name's Jorgensen, and fortunately it is not Carson Jorgensen, but he's a lawyer for the LDS Church, a senior attorney over there. So let me find how to share. Oh, I know what I just did. Hold up. I was like, how do I share my screen? Okay. So Jorgensen, and there's a question about his residency. And so what the issue was here is he is a senior attorney for the LDS Church. He's a former corporate attorney. If I understand this correctly, and people can, maybe I don't understand this, would the attorney position be something that you would apply for like a regular job? Or is it a calling that I don't know how exactly it would happen, but the church would select you for it and you would go and do work for them instead of what you were doing before? I'd be interested to know that. I think Marsgate is referring to the women, the 80 women. She said, bitches, I'll say it. Accurate. Okay, so Jorgensen. So let me just say, I don't know the difference between the two. Maybe I'll have to ask Cass about this, but I don't know if he's a lawyer because it's a calling for him, or was it just a job and he applied for it and he is a senior lawyer at the LDS Church. There is a question about whether he meets the residency requirements to be a judge. And specifically, Jorgensen said he moved back to Utah in 2020 after spending much of the prior 2 decades outside of the state. He then served as a Latter-day Saint mission president from 2022 to 2025 and said he accepted the job with the church before returning to the state. And then he says, it says the nominee to this position must have been a Utah resident for 5 years, Jorgensen said, pointing out the Constitution doesn't require those years to be immediately preceding the nomination. This is interesting because I thought, okay, anyway, then he says, even if that were the case, Jorgensen argued that his years in Chile are not disqualifying because he always intended to return to Utah after his church service and still owned a home in Provo during the time. Okay. So this is why I thought this was interesting, because I agree with him on this second point. And the reason I agree with him is because I've deployed before. And when you deploy, it doesn't change your residency. So, for example, when I lived in Texas, I did my second deployment. So I went to Kuwait, Syria, Iraq. Okay, but I was gone for a year, but I was still a resident of Texas. I owned a home there. My intention after the deployment was to go back to Texas. I lived in Dallas at the time. And so the deployment doesn't break the residency. It doesn't change anything because it's not actually, you're not moving anywhere. I don't think that when he went on a church mission for 3 years that he was moving to Chile. I think he was doing what was essentially like a deployment, a little bit of an extended one, but his intention was to come back to Utah. So he's still a resident of Utah. And I would assume that during that time, he probably was voting in Utah as well. And I think this is interesting because the contrast is with a Celeste Malloy, right? So Celeste's claim is that she is a resident of Utah, but the reality is that she doesn't own any property here. I think she owns a home in Northern Virginia. It's not listed on her disclosures, I don't think, but it could be listed. It could be under a corporation. It could be owned by somebody else. I don't know, but that's where her home is. And then she uses her sister's address in Cedar City as her local address to establish residency. But that only works if your intention is to move to Utah or to come to Utah when you're done with whatever you're doing. My theory is that if she loses the primary, that she will stay in Northern Virginia and she will become a lobbyist. I do not think she's coming back because I don't actually think I don't really think she's ever really been a resident of Utah. She worked here for some years, but she's not a Utahn really. So I thought that contrast was kind of interesting. The lack of owning a home is kind of one of those things that it shows that you don't have an intention of coming back. And I think that is a really good example of that. So, and then, but this makes me wonder about the whole issue with when Phil ran for governor, his first pick for lieutenant governor was Lane Bengader. And at the time, the lieutenant governor would not let Lane be his the current lieutenant governor. So Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson would not let Lane be his lieutenant governor candidate because he said he didn't meet the residency requirement. But I don't remember all the details. Like, I don't know if he had the 5 years or not. I thought he did, just broken up, because this Supreme Court justice, I think, let me put it this way though. I think that Jorgensen gets residency based on the period from 2020 to 2026, even with the break of going to Chile for a mission, because like I said, that's a temporary departure and you're coming back. I think he already had it. But in Lane Bengader's case, I think the 5 years he had it if it wasn't just the preceding 5 years because he had lived in Utah previously. So, but that's what Jorgensen is arguing that should have counted, and that's kind of interesting. I guess something to think about. I might have to look at that at some point because now I'm wondering if Lane actually should have been able to be Phil's running mate. I mean, it doesn't matter now, but I for the future, because I think, and maybe also thinking about it this way, Lieutenant Governor Henderson is 100% planning to run for governor, and she's going to cheat her way into the governor's mansion. You know, she's already there's multiple examples of her cheating in races. There's no reason to think she's not going to do it to get into the governor's mansion. And she's a pathological liar, zero morals. And I know someone's going to tell me she's allegedly a good wife. I don't know if she is. You know, no, I have no proof of that. Don't even know what that means. Don't know why I would care. Maybe she's a good wife. I doubt it. I just think people that are pathological liars like that will also lie to their spouses. So, and will lie to their family members, because there's no limiting factor to that. It's not like I'm a pathological liar to the public where they can check on me, but I'm not a pathological liar to my husband. Please. I'm 48. I've been around. I understand how this stuff works. Okay. Next, let's talk about Kai Schwimmer. This is, I think, a really interesting story because of the whole. He's young. He's very young. I think he's like 22 or something. And he has kind of just like rocketed onto the scene. I will tell you that I went and I got a tour of the Utah County Clerk's elections operation last week with Natalie Clausen and Michael Clara. And Kai was there, and he actually was part of the tour. He seemed to have some knowledge of what's going on. I'm sure he's a quick study. He's, you know, someone that's young and energetic and very like political. I think will learn quickly how elections operate. It's not rocket science. I know people want to pretend like it is. It's not rocket science. Now, so 80 elected women wrote a letter to Aaron Davidson, because Aaron Davidson appointed Kai Schwimmer to be his deputy clerk. And so 80 women, they wrote this letter. Let's pull that up first. Give me 1 second. And the people on this letter, I just got to tell you, are just horrible individuals. All bad. Okay, let me pull this up. Here. And okay. So on this list, first of all, I think multiple of these women are actually man haters and or lesbians. So in that category, you have let's see here, Jennifer Plum. I mean, she hates men so much that she literally transed her own son. You have Wang Nguyen. I think she's a lesbian. She is one of the women that Eva Chavez Lopez made out with in a vehicle. And then this one claimed that she felt threatened or thought it was uncomfortable, but I heard from somebody else that they have made out at multiple parties in closets and stuff. So I don't think that vehicle thing was the only time that happened. You have, let's see, I know I saw Sahara Hayes on here. Sahara Hayes, she literally transed her partner. Sarah says, LOL, how old are you? I'm 48. I know. I'm not young. I'm a middle-aged man. So Sahara Hayes, she transed her partner. She turned him from what was it? Landon to Lily. Poor guy. I feel so bad for him. I mean, really just. And now the crazy part about that whole story is that now Sahara Hayes will tell people she's a lesbian because her husband went from being a man into a quote unquote woman. So now she gets to be I think it's all this. They do this stuff for clout. But if you do that to your partner or husband, you are obviously a man hater, right? Like, why would you ever do that to somebody? It's so horrible. But you have Becky Edwards on here. I mean, that's a gem. That's a total gem. Then you have, let's see here, Marsha Judkins. I don't really know anything about her, but I don't know, that haircut, little makes me question things there. Erin Mendenhall. She's like, I mean, she's running around in hijabs now, which some people think it was just because she went to an Eid dinner, like she was trying to be polite. But I actually don't think that's true. Here's why. I have a friend, I think I talked about this before, but she deployed and went to Afghanistan for a year as a civilian. So she went with the Department of Justice. She was able to drive around Afghanistan, doing like criminal investigations. She's an attractive blonde-haired woman, and she told me she never wore a hijab or anything on her hair because she was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not Muslim and I'm not part of their culture. I would never do that. I'm an American and I get to, I don't have to do that. And so I think it's weird when you have these women in the US that subjugate themselves to Islam like that. But then I also wonder if maybe she converted to Islam. It's possible, right? And that's just the only time you're seeing her wear her little hijab. Let's see. Suzanne, I don't know who that is. Natalie Pinkney is on here. I mean, she's like a witch or something. She like has magical crystals and all sorts of weird stuff. Oh, and I forgot about Amelia Powers Gardner. That's a gem. That is one of the worst people that you could put on a list like this. So these aren't even like nice people. They're not good people. Mars Gate said it well in the comments, but they're a bunch of witches. And so I don't think we need to listen to witches, but since they brought it up, I want to go into Amelia Powers Gardner because I can't imagine why anybody would want her on their list. So here's Amelia last year, I think. She actually, it's not even last year, it's the beginning of this year. There was a special election that happened in Utah County. And it was to replace Brady Brammer in the House. So his House seat, it was a special, it says, wait, hold on. It was to pick a replacement to fill a seat in the Utah Senate. So what happened is that she moved out of the Senate district, but at the special convention that they had to find a replacement, she lied about the timing of her move, and then she ended up, and she ends up voting. I think someone challenged her residency when it happened, and then she ended up voting in the election, but she ended up getting censured later on. And if you go, the timeline is actually in here. So let's see here. Well, there's different ends up. Sorry, he's like, my dog's like licking himself. I can hear him. The party said, okay, so now she ends up being censured by the party. Her response is she pushed back and says that it stems from a factual disagreement regarding residency during a transitional period. What does that even mean? A transitional period? Are you like transitioning from a man to a woman or something? While there were differing interpretations, there was no fraud, no double voting, and no intent to deceive, she said. The issues were addressed through the proper party process and resolved at the party nomination. So here. Okay. A challenge hearing was held. So 17 delegates filed a complaint against her. They had a hearing. The hearing was held on November 2nd, 2024. During the hearing, the censor claims Powers Gardner told delegates, I currently own a house in Pleasant Grove. I'm still in Pleasant Grove. Powers Gardner was allowed to participate in the special convention, but later admitted that she and her husband signed a lease in Lehi on August 14th of 2024 and transferred ownership of their Pleasant Grove home on October 9th, 2024, according to the censor. 3 days after the special election on November 5th, 2024, Commissioner Gardner voted in the general election as a resident of Lehi. So she lied. She actually committed election fraud. She is the former county commissioner of Utah County, and she got censured by her own party for committing election fraud. And she has the nerve to come out and criticize Kai Schwemmer or Aaron Davidson for hiring Kai Schwemmer as his deputy clerk. And there's a pattern, by the way, in our big county clerk's offices that they hire younger people as their deputy clerks. Lanny Chapman in Salt Lake County did it as well. I'll pull up a thing in a minute about that. She hired a woman who was just like an ACLU activist and had a major in ballet. to be her deputy clerk, because there are no special, there's no special education you need to be a county clerk or a deputy clerk, or really to work in the county clerk's office at all. And so, yeah, so that's kind of what is so ridiculous about this, is that she's actually out there talking about criticizing Erin Davidson when she literally cheated herself in an election. Can you believe that? I just think it's so offensive. Okay, now Amelia actually ended up going and I guess interesting, I didn't realize this, but she also didn't seek re-election to her seat on the county commission because she was county clerk. I think they had an opening on the county commission and she ran for that and won, even though, and we'll get into this in a second, like how bad her tenure was at that commission, at the county clerk's office. But I guess she endorsed Michelle Kafusi to replace her on that county commission, which I don't know if that's who knows if that's an improvement? Probably not. Unfortunately, I have no faith in these people. Okay, so then, I did think this, hold on, there's one more thing in here. Here, let me just point this out. So the whole article, the one I just shared with you, is about how she was censured for committing election fraud, right? Then it says, Powers Gardner is one of 3 members of the Utah County Commission and became the first female elected to the commission in 2021. If you're talking about how she committed fraud, why would you note that she was the first female elected to that? I just feel like that's a weird thing to bring up because now you're just making women look bad. And I don't think all women are, I think women are just like men. There's good ones and bad ones. And so when there's a bad one, I don't know why you have to point out to us that, she was the first woman elected to the county commission. Well, it looks like it was a mistake because she committed fraud in this party race. And it raises questions of how much fraud she was committing when she was the county clerk. So, okay. So the next part is, while she was the county clerk, she actually was found guilty, or I would say was substantiated, that she sexually harassed one of her employees for being gay. You can't make this up. And for Kai, to be fair, whatever his views are, I don't know that anyone has said that he's discriminated against anyone, that he's treated any employees poorly, right? So we'll read some of this because it's insane. Then this happened, by the way, while she was running for the county commission seat. The report came out. So the Utah County Attorney's Office actually did the investigation. So they say the former employee, whose name is redacted, asked to meet with Human Resources on October 20th of 2020. After Powers Gardner threw her keys and purse at him twice and berated him in front of other staff, the report said. The former employee also noted examples of when the clerk auditor, Amelia Powers Gardner, who took office in 2019, made inappropriate references to his sexual orientation. She allegedly called his performance great for being a gay Democrat, according to the report. 4 unnamed employees confirmed the inappropriate behavior, according to the report, and 2 said Powers Gardner made a joke about giving the former employee a flaming hot Cheeto during sexual harassment training. I don't get that. I don't know what that means. I haven't heard that reference before, so there must be something there. Okay, so he told, then the former employee did not terminate his position with the county due to Powers Gardner's conduct. However, the report noted. He told the county attorney's office he wanted the case to be finally closed and that he considered the matter resolved and that he didn't want it to be escalated this far. So he probably wanted privacy because I'm guessing there's not a ton of gay employees working in the Utah County Clerk's office. Just a thought. And I bet I'm right on that because I'm going to guess that it's mostly women that work there. If you go to the clerk's offices in general, they tend to be heavily women dominated. You'll see very few men working there. So when she was asked whether throwing her purse and keys at an employee was appropriate, Amelia Powers Gardner explained to the investigator that she was trying to get his attention while on a phone call with a news reporter, calling with questions about the 2020 election, according to the report. And then Powers Gardner confirmed with the Tribune that she completed workplace harassment training in December. So I don't like, she literally spent, I mean, she must have just constantly harassed this guy that he felt the need to go and talk to HR at all, especially once she started throwing her keys and purse at him. So you just have to, like, this is the person that the 80 women think is a credible individual to make their case that Kai Schwimmer should not be in his position, where it's for all I can tell, Kai has not thrown his keys, and I assume he doesn't have a purse at people. Maybe, you know, I guess he could throw his wallet at somebody, but I haven't heard anything about that. And that's these are the types of winners that they put on their list. I'll just note that after this, this whole thing made me mad because after this report came out, multiple elected officials in Utah reiterated that they endorsed her for that race, including Mike Lee. So, you know, for all this talk about being based, which maybe I don't know what that means, but why would you be okay with a woman who discriminates against people for something that they can't help? You know, like, would he have said the same thing if they found that she discriminated against her Black employee or her racial minority employee? Is it just okay because if he was a gay employee and we're not, you know, but it doesn't even sound like he was doing anything he wasn't trying to be gay at work, right? He was actually trying to work. And you know, typically, like, you know, if you work with someone who's gay, you're going to know it, right? So people I work with always know I'm gay. It's whatever. But it doesn't mean that you should be turning around and sexually harassing the person. It just means if you get to know someone, you're going to know things like that. And I would assume you're interested in it as like a friendly thing. But I don't know why these people endorsed her. John Frugal Dougal endorsed her after that. You know, and there were others as well. And I find the whole thing inappropriate. And I saw comments at the time when I brought this up of people saying things like, well, he's gay. You shouldn't, that's okay if you harass gay people. And I was like, I don't think so. It's illegal, first of all. But also, it's actually just not right. If you're going to talk about being kind to people and nice to people, you have to be kind and nice to people, even if you disagree with them if you think it's a lifestyle choice. I don't think it's a choice. Like I've said, I just think it is what it is. But it doesn't give you the right in a workplace to then turn around and start making the person feel uncomfortable. It certainly doesn't give you the right to throw your keys and purse at them or to make other comments about them. I just think this is a bad person. She's a bad person. Now, Celeste Malloy is actually out touting that she got an endorsement from Amelia Powers Gardner. I had posted about this because it's in her list. She has this list of elected officials that endorsed her. And I just don't know, like, how do you have Amelia Powers Gardner endorse you and think it's okay? Or do you just not have any idea about the things that she has done as an elected official here? And maybe she doesn't. It's perfectly plausible that Celeste has no idea really any local politics issues because, again, she doesn't live here. So, like, you don't actually understand the stuff that's going on. Okay, let's see here. We got a few comments. Sarah, Mars Gate says, Sarah, Goud is probably going to start getting a few gray hairs at 80 years old, maybe. I have gray hair. It's harder to see. And it's in my beard. You can see it in my beard. Caroline teaches math. According to Grok, a flaming hot Cheeto is a reference to fellatio. I did not expect that. That's like, okay. Whoa. Okay, so now that tip of and then, okay, she made the comment during sexual harassment training. Like, that's when she said that. Oh, man. Sometimes I don't know how these stories are this ridiculous. Okay. That's like an Urban Dictionary thing. So then if you look here, okay, so let's go back to the list. The other one I want to talk about is Amy Winder Newton. That's a bad person. okay, you know, like she actually, first of all, she's gotten the endorsement of Equality Utah because she supports the trans agenda, as many people know now. She hates me with a passion. But it's because I exposed that she helped Equality Utah raise money, because she had been doing this whole shtick for years about how she's a conservative Republican, and that's how she talks. So typically, what you'll see is that the elected officials who are not actually conservative will spend their time repeating that they are conservative Republicans because they hope that you just won't dig any deeper. And I remember in 2023, I think at the state convention, I handed out these flyers talking about how she had helped Equality Utah raise $45,000 so that they could defeat conservative Republicans in the state. Oh, she was so mad about it. And then she came up to me after the convention when I was cleaning up, and she was like, Goud, have you heard of Reagan's adage that you're not supposed to attack other Republicans? And then I said, I haven't. Are you a Republican? And then she said, yes, I am. You can go and you can look at my voting record. I have voted for very conservative budgets. And I said, okay, I'll go do that. I don't have an issue with that at all. And then I went and did it, and it turned out she's not conservative at all. So that's all she does is just repeats those same stupid talking points, and some portion of the population falls for it every time, even though she's not a conservative and never has been one. She's a Democrat. Now, what she did is then she targeted my group. I had the Utah Log Cabin Republicans at the time, and she and dozens of other elected Republicans pressured the national group to shut down our local chapter. We were like one of the fastest growing chapters in the country. That is how vindictive and evil she is. And she was successful, and the other Republicans who helped her won't admit it. It's so bad because the only name that the national people gave me besides Amy Winder Newton was Todd Weiler, but Todd Weiler denies it. And so I don't know if he did it or not. I'm more like, it's possible that she just mentioned him and maybe he didn't do it. I don't know. But like, I think it's probably people like Stuart Adams was probably involved. I think there was that guy, God, I can't remember Thatcher. I think Dan Thatcher was part of it too. But so like that takes like another level of just a really bad, evil person to go and do that kind of stuff, because she can't win the argument. So instead she goes to shut down your ability to speak and your ability to meet with other people with common interests. Because she could have come to a meeting and talked to people and debated and we were very open that anyone could come. Lori Stringham came to our meetings and we had good discussions with her. Don't agree with her on everything, but certainly we'd still be respectful and talk about areas where we agree and talk about areas where we disagree without, it's not like it's starting shouting matches or anything. We just had a good time. So I'll give her credit on that. But like Amy didn't do that. And then I think Amy was also involved in getting me fired from Lucid. And so that was like, because I think she worked with Troy Williams to start the pressure campaign and stuff. And so that's just a bad person. And I've heard people say, oh, God, she's a good husband, good wife, and a good mother or something like that. I'm like, first of all, I have no idea if that's true. And honestly, I doubt it is true, because I don't think, for example, I don't think you're actually a good mother if you go after other people's kids the way you did. You couldn't actually just have the dispute with me, have a debate. You could debate me in public. I would come and I'd totally debate you, no issues at all. But she didn't do any of that. She actually came after me personally, because she is a bad person, like a very, very bad person. My other thought on this was, I will say I've been learning more about kind of like the LDS faith, and I do, I feel bad for like her husband, because I think he's stuck with her forever. It's a little joke. So don't take it too seriously. Okay, so then let's get back to Kai. I thought this was interesting. They actually had a meeting to talk about it. According to the Trib, about 20 people showed up. And here's they actually have a little video from it. What I thought was notable is I did not see the women who were complaining in the video. So they're complaining, but they're not even going to bother to go to the outreach to talk to Aaron Davidson and Kai Schwimmer about their alleged concerns. So here we go.
A 23-year-old who once said he is very much an anti-universal suffrage guy is now working in the office that runs Utah County elections. The conservative influencer was hired by Utah County Clerk Aaron Davidson as deputy clerk to help the county reach young voters. The new hire is Kai Schwimmer, a Brigham Young University student and self-described true conservative who has a history of posting anti-Semitic and white supremacist content. He's compared an Iranian dissident to a monkey and argued that a white candidate has a trustworthy physiognomy when compared to a black candidate.
Okay, let's look at it. So this first one, I don't know that this is actually racist. This is like, I'm not really I've never heard of this being racist to compare. The racist part is when they compare black people to primates. That's the historical racism piece, right? I don't see racism here. Let's go.
Dissident to a monkey and argued that a white candidate.
Here he says James Fishback has trustworthy I can't say the word. Byron Donalds, on the other hand, is deceitful and suspicious. He doesn't mention race, and so I'm not really sure. See, like part of this is I do think a lot of people are kind of beyond race in some ways. I don't know if that's how it is with Kai, but so these criticisms you could make them, and they're not. There's no racial intention. It's just saying like you're actually judging them based on what you see, and it's not race-based.
Candidate has a trustworthy physiognomy when compared to a black candidate. He has since walked back his comments on suffrage. Around 20 people attended a tense town hall to lodge concerns about Schwimmer's hiring.
How did you even know he existed?
When an attendee asked Davidson how he found Schwimmer, Davidson said he'd seen his name after Schwimmer spoke at the Utah Republican Convention.
If the Republican Party trusted him enough to let him speak at convention, I didn't feel like I had to delve too much into it. I didn't have time. I was processing the outcome of SB 153.
The leadership of Utah County's election administration will remain unnecessarily compromised until concerns about Schwimmer's hiring are addressed. This is a quote from a letter to Davidson signed by Provo Mayor Marcia Judkins, Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner, and dozens of Republican and Democratic women in elected offices.
This is your uniparty list. That's the way to think about it. I wouldn't vote for any of these people. Ever again. I'm actually surprised that Deidre Henderson's name isn't on it. She probably supports the effort, though.
And community leadership roles. On X, Schwimmer once wrote,
okay, so I thought this one was interesting. So in this, Marjorie Taylor Greene says, "Oh, I haven't suffered enough for you while you post all day behind a screen. Do I have to stay until I'm assassinated like our friend Charlie Kirk? Will that be enough for you?" And then Kai responded and said, "Women generally do not have what it takes to endure the pressures of a public office, and this is a perfect example. Hey, Marge, literally everyone on the internet with any clout gets death threats. You're not a special case." I thought this was interesting because that contrast there is kind of interesting, right? Because he says the women piece at the top, but then he's basically like, everybody gets death threats if you're prominent.
Women generally do not have what it takes to endure the pressures of a public office.
But I will say that those 80 women who signed that list, they showed him. They can handle the pressure. That's why they wrote that letter.
This post was in response to now former Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene discussing death threats she'd received. By the end of the town hall, Davidson agreed to write a formal job description for Schwimmer, including an end date for his time in the role.
I wish you could experience how long it takes to create a position in county government.
Davidson said he would publish the new job description for Schwimmer by the beginning of next week.
I hope that this can be an opportunity for me to show every single one of you that I'm committed to allowing every individual not only the opportunity to vote, but actually encouraging them to do so, to be more civic-minded, to allow men and women, but not allow it because I have no choice in the matter, and nor would I take it away if I had the opportunity. I don't have any executive privilege there. And what I am absolutely committed to, and what I hope I can show you guys in the next 3 months or so, or less, that I'm in this role, is that I am committed to helping young people vote, make sure that their votes are counted so that the entire system works.
Tremor agreed to propose safeguards for himself.
Okay. So, I mean, you can see it's a trib, so it's totally biased. It's a biased little video or whatever. But if you notice, the 80 women that signed the letter, they didn't show up to the town hall. So they want to get online and they want to bitch and moan about how they think Kai Schwimmer is a bad choice. But then when there's an opportunity to go to a little town hall to actually talk about it, they don't show up. It's all fake. It's all political. And I think a lot of it actually stems from just man hatred, misandry. There's a lot of misandry in Utah generally. It's encouraged by, I think, leadership here that it's okay to hate men, especially white men, and you can see that that's what's acting out there. Let me show you here. Let me show you Lanny Chapman's deputy clerk, so you can get a sense of the difference. Okay, so this is Lanny Chapman's deputy clerk. She's actually, what's funny about this one is, I assume her dad. She looks like she's probably. I'm making an assumption here. I suspect that she's half white, half Indian, and that her dad is Indian, and he's actually from the area of India that my parents are from, based on the last name. So her name is, I think she goes by Nikki Venugopal. She was 26 when she was appointed, so a few years older than Kai. 0 election management experiences. Her only experience was an ACLU activist. She lobbied against election security. She was a staffer, a step above an intern. So, the difference here, though, is that she's a woman. And so, the way that those 80 women see it is that apparently this one doesn't have to have any qualifications. And by the way, I don't know that she's doing a bad job, right? Like, actually, if you email and stuff, you can get information out of her. I don't think that Kai is going to do a bad job either. I think that these deputy positions are opportunities to try to train young people how to do the election administration, how to manage people, and then also to encourage other young people to vote. Both of these guys will do that just by being in those positions. So I just think it's fake. It's totally fake controversy. And it's probably very politically motivated because there is a extreme effort to knock Aaron Davidson out in the primary next week. So I would encourage everybody, actually, this isn't even on my list of the ones to watch. Yeah, I encourage you, if you live in Utah County, to vote for Aaron. He's the best county clerk we have. Data-based, has a lot of great information, runs a really tight ship, and is willing to experiment. If something happens, he's willing to fix it, kind of go back and be innovative. You don't see that as much with the other clerks. And then on data, he gathers lots of data. They look at all the different things, like, do they need to move their drop boxes around because some drop boxes are being used more than others? Do they need to change whatever process it is because it's not working as efficiently as it could? Really, impressive stuff. So that would be what I'd encourage if you're over there. Okay, now let's talk about elections. So first, I just said, I think that's one to watch. If you guys have predictions, I want to hear, who do you think is going to win these races? Aaron Davidson, Corey Astle. I have no sense of any of these races. I've been very just kind of sitting here I don't know who is going to win these races. I'm just struggling with it. So the next big one, I think that Utah County clerk race is a really big one. The establishment of the state is trying to knock Aaron out because he doesn't cheat like some of the other county clerks. And he makes it difficult for them to do their little schemes because he'll talk to people. He'll give you information they don't want, meaning he understands the system and he wouldn't let them cheat in his county. They don't like that. So, and Corey Astle, his opponent, is just an establishment guy. He'll go along to get along, do whatever they want. So I'm interested to see where that goes. Mr. Producer, who do you think is going to win that one? Mr. Producer said Aaron is a database guy. County clerk is all about data. He thinks Aaron's going to win. Okay. I hope so. If you guys think someone's going to win, you want to say it in the comments, or you can call in too. So then we have Blake Moore versus Carrie Ann Lisenby. Taylor Morgan is a lobbyist and most prominently known for Count My Vote, which is what brought us the signature path. And he was in an article recently, and he said that in this article, I thought it was kind of interesting. He said a couple things that were interesting. One is he thinks that the 3rd district is the more competitive of the 2 congressional races going on right now. So in his view, now this is his prediction. I don't know what it's based on, but he thinks it's the race to watch. And he sees the 3rd district as a lot more competitive than Utah's 2nd district GOP race, where Republican Blake Moore is seeking to fend off a primary challenger from state lawmaker Carrie Ann Lisenby. Morgan described Malloy as well-respected, well-known and respected. I don't know if that's true. Lyman, for his part, has growing support among a vocal, ardent group of Utah Republicans, Morgan said. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see. He said, okay, so he thinks this time Morgan predicted the primary contest is likely going to come down to single digits, but I do think Celeste Malloy will win somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 9%. Okay, so here's what I want to say about that. First, I don't know if his assessment of the 2nd district is accurate. I talked to some people and I think that race was competitive based on what they told me and based on some polling, internal polling that they were talking about. And so I'm not sure, because if he thinks this one is in the 7 to 9% range, he would think that maybe this one meaning CD3, that means he thinks CD2 has a bigger spread. And I don't know if that's accurate. So I don't know who I think is going to win that. Mr. Producer, you got any thoughts on who you think is going to win that one? I guess, like I kind of come at these things with hope. Oh, Mr. Producer says live it. Okay, we're not a CD3 yet. We're a CD2. So Blake Moore and Carrie Ann Lisenby. Do you have thoughts on one of those? Moore. He thinks Moore. Okay, that's what I've been hearing from people, is they think Blake Moore is going to win, and I'm fascinated by that because I feel like actually he should be not. He is vulnerable. He's vulnerable. I guess I don't know how vulnerable he is. And there is a big gap in spending between the two of them. Okay, he is spending a lot more better. He's spending a lot more money than she is, because he has a lot more money because he's in leadership. So Mr. Producer says Lisenby is way better, but follow the money. Oh, so this could be a situation where you're thinking the devil versus the devil you don't, or something like that. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Okay, so Marsgate says, I'm hoping Lisenby. Yeah, I'm hoping that too. Mr. Producer says, you too can buy yourself a seat in Congress. I cannot in Utah. As I have said, I am not electable here, but I think that is, we'll see where that ends up. We'll see. That's an interesting one, right? Yes, and I'm with Marsgate. I hope Lisenby wins. And I understand that, she's not like a populist fighter necessarily, but I think she's a huge improvement over Blake Moore. I don't know where it goes though, really. I get messages from people that, that are involved in campaigns, and they'll tell me stuff, but I don't know what that means. And if they, Okay, now Mr. Producer also says she was in the legislature. It could work. Yeah, and to be fair about this, she does have a lot of endorsements from elected officials in Utah. So that's there was a push. It almost seemed like there's a push kind of locally at the state level to get rid of Blake Moore, at least by some of the legislators, that you don't see as much with Celeste. So just I'm putting that out there. And, I can only be so unbiased because I am helping Phil and I like him and I want him to win. So just keep that in mind as I give you my analysis. In full disclosure, I am a big fan of Phil Lyman. So okay, So then the next, so CD2, it sounds like Mr. Producer thinks Moore will win. I guess should we write these down? And then I'm gonna say, I hope it's Lisenby. I guess I'll just say Lisenby. Okay. And then Mars Gate is with me. Okay, so then CD3, we've got Celeste Malloy and Phil Lyman. This race is kind of interesting because of the massive amount of outside money that has flowed into this race. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Okay, like the Celeste has raised about $1 million and spent most of it. And then this PAC called Defending Our Values PAC that is funded by Anthropic and Dark Money, we don't know everyone who's funded it, has dumped its $962,000 and $962,096 have been dropped by this one PAC into this race. And if you add in the other PAC, the other super PAC money that's coming, because there's another one by this guy, Owen Fuller, and it's called Defending Utah Values. It's over $1 million in super PAC money in what is essentially, I mean, the CD3 has kind of like it doesn't have Salt Lake in it. It has some of Utah County, but it doesn't have the big media markets you would normally see with that kind of spending. So that is just like a massive amount of spending. And what's kind of fascinating about this is that the PAC is run by Chris Stewart, who was her previous boss. And so let me play this for you, because I was listening to this clip and I was like, oh, this kind of makes me rethink what this clip is about. So here.
When was your like, oh wow, like this is something I could do? I could do. Were you planning on doing this?
No.
When was your like, oh wow, like this is something I could do?
Honestly, after I found out he was resigning. And I told this story to a lot of delegates too. But when I found out he was resigning, I was upset. There was just so much we had going on. We're in the middle of a lot of really exciting things. And I went to him and said, I respect your reasons for resigning. I understand what you're doing, but you've got to find someone who will run for the seat because they want to keep doing all these good things we're doing. Because he has a really good reputation for showing up in different parts of the district. And we've got a lot of things going. I said,
okay, that's fair. I understand. So you wanted to just pick it up and say, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you have anything else more to that? Because we've only got so much time and I want to get through a lot of these questions.
No, I'll go fast. He's the one who told me, like, you care about this a lot. Why don't you run? I said, I don't think I'm electable. And I ran through the reasons. And he said, I think you.
Okay, we're going to keep that in mind. I don't think I'm electable. I think that's interesting.
You'd be surprised how well people would respond to you if you just go start talking to them about the work you've been doing and how much you care. And so I took a big gamble. I quit my job. I got out here and got calling people and started telling that story. And I never did try to hide the ball on what I was doing or why. I want to take those projects and keep going with them. I want to make sure that the work that he's been doing keeps going, and I know how to do it.
Okay. Well, so let's start with the end there, right? So she's talking about, so Chris Stewart told her she should run. So she decided to run. She allegedly wasn't planning on doing it before. I'll be honest with you, I don't actually believe that. The reason I don't believe that is because she doesn't really have a social media. She doesn't have a lot of social media, which strikes me as she cleared it, or she wasn't active on social media on purpose because she was planning to run for office. Probably more calculated than what she's trying to give off there. The part I thought was interesting, though, is if you notice, she wants to continue Chris's work in the seat, which now when you see that there were there's this $960,000 that Chris is having the PAC pump into the race like that, it should bring new light to this. And it makes me wonder, like, is she even running her own office, or is this just an extension of Chris Stewart now? I don't know the answer to that, but it really kind of raises some concerns there. I do think, yeah, Mr. Producer said, I care about what, even though she wasn't a Utah resident. Yeah, I think she basically admits there that she was not a Utah resident when she says, I packed up I quit my job, I packed up my stuff.
And he said, I think you'd be surprised how well people would respond to you if you just go start talking to them about the work you've been doing and how much you care. And so I took a big gamble. I quit my job. I got out here and got calling people.
Yeah, I quit my job. I got out here because she doesn't live here. She wasn't living here. She was not even living here when she did this interview. Mr. Producer says, "What is the work?" Yeah, I don't know. That's one of my questions: is what exactly was she working on that she thought was so important, and then also what projects was she going to continue and make sure were completed for Chris Stewart? So like now again, he's the one directing this PAC to provide this $960,000. That's a huge. I'm just going to add that is a massive amount of money for a race like this. Massive. They're getting something in return. And in Jesuit News, Chris actually told them that the PAC interviewed her before they decided to support her and give her money. I don't know what she told them, but I'd be interested to know. And I also think it raises a question, though, about trust, right? Is she going around making promises to these PACs and then coming back and telling other people different things? So, for example, some of her messaging on the data center has changed. At the debate that happened, was it last week or the week before? I can't remember. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. She actually said at that debate that Utah is a good place for data centers. And if you watch her messaging now, she's changed it a little bit. It's no longer Utah is a good place for data centers. It's she won't really talk about it. She has no opinion because she understands it's an electoral liability, but I don't think she could come out and say I don't support data centers because of the fact that the people who are buying her race for her are not going to be okay with that. So Mr. Producer says, Mr. Producer's in CD3. She wouldn't tell me what the work is she will be continuing. The data center? Yeah, I don't know. Again, like I just don't have a sense of it. I mean, in 23, at least the public didn't know about this kind of big push for data centers that was coming yet. But it's a good question. Like, what is the work? What are you trying to do? But again, are you still trying to do work for Chris Stewart? Like, how long is this going to last? The other piece is, if you notice, she told Chris Stewart, I don't think I'm electable. And I'm wondering, like, what did she say? What did she tell him? Why doesn't she think she's electable? I mean, we had a show where I talked about it. Like, I don't think I am not electable in Utah because of the fact that I'm gay and I'm not LDS. I do think, just based on my experience with this, I just don't think it would ever happen. That's fine. I have accepted that is true. But in her case, she's LDS. So I'm wondering, like what is it that she told them? Like, why didn't she think she was electable? I'm very curious to know. I'd love to know what she said because I'm like, oh, it's fascinating. So anyway, lots of outside money coming into this race, and but I will say this: like, I think Phil has gotten. I think these two are approaching this race very differently. So okay, I'm gonna try to be very objective. She is very much establishment, who quote unquote gets things done. That's kind of the play, right? I get things done. Now the things aren't necessarily good. Enzo, sorry, he's licking it. So like you can hear it. It's kind of annoying. So anyway, it's I don't think you would like what she's getting done. Right. I have a list here somewhere. Let me see if I find it. Because her voting record is bad. And the crazy thing to me is that it actually has not improved, even though she's in a primary right now. You would think because of the primary race that's going on, that she would at least be a little bit more conservative during that time. But I'm not seeing it at all. So let me see. I'll see if I find. Oops. That didn't work. Let's see. Utah. Here we go. Okay, let me show you. This is where I'll show you guys because some of these votes happen. So she's in a primary, right? And so if you look at These are some of her kind of notable votes. So the third one on the list is voted to give pesticide manufacturers immunity from lawsuit if their products give you cancer or hurt you. This is the glyphosate issue. She literally did this vote during the primary. She voted. Anna Paulina Luna brought an amendment to remove this liability shield from the Farm Bill. It passed overwhelmingly in a bipartisan fashion, and Celeste voted against it. Now, it turns out that she actually has money that was donated to her from a PAC called Crop Life, which is where these pesticide makers donate so they can influence legislators. And so I think that's why she voted like that. Now, the next one is she voted to allow the government to spy on you without a warrant. That just happened last week. She did it again. This is multiple times, and she's in a primary. So she is taking that. I am, I guess, a moderate. I don't know. I don't really know what that is. I think it's more like I am establishment, and I do what my donors tell me. That's the lane she has picked, and she will do what she has owned. And Phil has taken the anti-establishment lane in this thing. So I thought actually today, if you saw it, the Daily Herald had a pretty good article. Let me second. Oh, hold on. Is it the Daily Herald, Utah? Why can't I find it? Here, give me a second. I thought is it called the Daily Herald? Am I the only one to remember this? Oh, wait, hold on. I'll pull it back up, Mr. Producer. I don't remember. Let's see. I saw it this morning. I know Phil posted it. I thought they posted it. Perhaps. Well, one of the newspapers did a piece that now I can't find that I thought was very good. Okay, so now my dog decided to come into my office so he can lick himself some more, I guess. It's so annoying. Hi, Enzo. What's up? Okay, good boy. Why can't I find this? Mr. Producer, is there a Daily Herald in... Oh, wait, maybe this is it. Oh, yeah, here. I found it. Here we go. So here was the Daily Herald today. See, Phil Lyman running for Congress to push back against perceived government overreach. So he's taking the, Phil is that he's like the normal Utahn who is kind of tired of all the government overreach. So that's his lane. Anti-establishment. Okay, here's what Mr. Producer was asking about this. Voted to protect sexual predators in Congress. That was the first one, Mr. Producer. But this vote came up before. My point was like, even as she's gone to the primary, her votes have been bad. This vote to protect sexual predators, and this was when she voted to hide the information about settlements made by members of Congress, with both men and women, against their hush money payments made to their victims to cover up their sexual misconduct. Of course, Celeste voted to cover it up. I don't really understand it, so whatever. I mean, very weird. Maybe maybe one of her friends is someone who had to settle a claim. Maybe there's been claims in her office. I don't know. It just seems weird to me that you would cover that up because, as I gave in my example, then again, maybe not, because she also got the endorsement of Amelia Powers Gardner, who sexually harassed her gay employee. So maybe she's all good with that. Okay, so we've got two who think Lyman, so Marsgate and Mr. Producer will win that one. I guess we will see. And I will say these two, like, they're very different candidates too, right? You kind of got Phil is definitely like that, like a Utah man, right? He has been here his whole life. I think except for his mission, he's got married, 5 kids, 20 grandkids. Most of them live in Utah. Most of them live in the 3rd congressional district. He has siblings like in the district, like the whole thing. He's a 3rd district guy. With Celeste, single, 44. Like in that way, her and I are similar-ish. Like I guess I'm not really single, but then no kids. So that, you know, but like, I think those are definite differences in biography and in terms of what they've done for the state. Phil has actually done things that risked, you know, he got prosecuted for, I think unfairly, for driving the ATV on the road. He's actually caused, both when he was in the legislature and outside of it, a bunch of laws in the state to get changed, and taken real risks. I don't think Celeste has ever done that. Her entire career is someone who is risk averse and not going to take any sorts of risks at all to do anything, right? Everything has just been kind of, it's government. So I always work for government. That's all easy to do. If all you ever do is work for government, you'll never actually know what it's like to have a private sector job, to deal with, or run a business, deal with all the uncertainty of it, the possibility of getting fired, things like that. So very different biographies. Okay, so the next one we've got is Dan McCabe versus Doug Fifia. This one I'm finding kind of, you know, this is in my district, and I really have no sense of where this is going to end up either. I'm going to vote for Dan on this one, and I know there's a lot of, trust me, people are all over the place on this race. I had one of my neighbors was walking by the other day and said to me, "You haven't told me who to vote for this cycle." And then I was like, "Well, for which race?" Happy to do so. Oh, Mars Gate points out maybe she was covering for Chris Stewart. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, that's possible because if you notice that they do keep the records, and there were some older records that have been released more recently because of Nancy Mace's effort, not because of Celeste Malloy's effort. So, yeah. So then I told the guy, he was like, "Well, what about the state Senate seat?" And I was like, "Well, I'm voting for Dan McKay, and like I get the SB 54 issue. I understand the flag issue." Although I will tell you on the flag one, I am kind of wondering if some of the change of the flag was actually pushed by the church leadership. And I say that because I've heard some things about the church kind of, I think the church does have influence in the state. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. And so I wonder if they wanted a different flag so it would be cooler, kind of make Utah a cooler place and attract more people so that they could, for mission work, right? There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But I just wonder if maybe that was some of the push for it. I thought this video was kind of interesting from Dan. So let's check.
Utah families are asking important questions about this data center project, and they deserve answers. The first question I ask is simple. What is the true cost to our families and communities? I support economic development, innovation, and keeping Utah competitive, but I also believe that growth must pay for growth. Utahns have raised legitimate concerns about water use, energy demand, transparency, and the long-term impact these projects may have on our communities. Those concerns deserve to be taken seriously. You see, public incentives should be rare, and if taxpayers are being asked to invest in a project, there should be a clear public benefit in return, like jobs or economic opportunity or other measurable value for Utah families. We can welcome investment and innovation while protecting taxpayers, safeguarding our resources, and ensuring that growth pays for growth. I'm Senator Dan McKay, and I hope to continue working to protect what matters most about Utah, our families and community.
Okay, so kind of an interesting take on it. I will say I was looking at the comments, and he did say, if a data center wants to locate in Utah, we don't need tax incentives to make it happen. And some other comments in here that I thought were, you know, in the right direction on the data center issue. Then I was looking at Fifia, because here I honestly don't know. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Okay, so, you know, like to me, Doug tends to be very focused on the AI issue. And I think that's a passion for him. So that's what he's interested in. I will say, if you note, he does have on his page the old Utah flag. Is this the old flag? Yeah, I think so, right? So that's kind of interesting. So that's clear, like a call out to people about the flag. That's well played. I'll give him credit for that. He's got kind of videos in here. I thought here, I was getting a little lost with these because they weren't really hitting the.
You guys know I've been paying close attention to AI over the past few years, and I want to talk to you about a deeply disturbing pattern that's emerging around young people's use of this technology. In the last year, multiple stories have come out where young people with existing mental health problems have formed deep emotional attachments to AI chatbots over months of conversation. In one tragic case, Adam Rain, a 16-year-old boy from California, built a deep attachment to ChatGPT after first using it to help him with his homework. Over time, their conversations turned to self-harm and even suicide, ultimately leading to ChatGPT encouraging him to end his life and giving him detailed instructions on how to build the noose to hang himself. Some of the last words ChatGPT said to Adam were horrific. You don't want to die because you're weak. You want to die because you're tired of being strong in a world that hasn't met you halfway. I want to be very clear that this was preventable. When OpenAI released the version of ChatGPT that Adam used, they were rushing to beat Google to market, and as a result, overruled their own safety teams who had asked for more time to make sure that the system was safe. I'm working on a bill to require AI companies to be transparent about safety and report incidents when things go wrong. If OpenAI hadn't cut corners, Adam might still be alive, and his family wouldn't have had to read through thousands of pages of chat logs to find out what went wrong.
Okay. So that's a sad case, unfortunate. I will say, though, that I don't know. I mean, I get the point about putting protections on AI 100%. And I think that makes sense. But I also wonder, though, if some of this requires a little bit more parental involvement. I mean, you're talking about, I struggle with it because it's a 16-year-old. So I know as teenagers, that's not really necessarily the answer, right? Like, I don't know that a parent could sit and look over their 16-year-old shoulder all the time to see everything that they're doing. What I couldn't find was something about the data centers from Doug. And so from my perspective, he just has a little bit more of a connection to big tech. And that's where I'm a little bit uncomfortable with it. But I don't know where this one ends up either, because I will say, I do think they're both running very good races. It's really interesting. I've gotten so many flyers. I just threw out every race. I'm getting flyers, and it's actually too many flyers. But again, I'm more that it's not really aimed at me because I know who's running. It's aimed at people that aren't paying attention, and so these guys they're running an energetic campaign, and I do think that's good. Now I don't know if you guys have thoughts on who's going to win that one. I'm hoping Dan will win it, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, so Mr. Producer said that was the old flag on his website. So this is well played, his website thing. I think that's actually, I give him props for that because that's smart. So he's calling out to people who the flag is a big issue for them. Very smart. Okay. Okay, the other big one. Okay, we have two more. So I'm going to touch on these real quick. I want to give you a little preview before we have Mike on. So we've got Stuart Adams versus Braden Hess versus Stephanie Hollis. Now I'll just say, Stuart Adams, dude, that guy's corrupt to the core, all-around corruption. He, if you think there are bills that should have been passed that are not being passed, it's Stuart Adams. He apparently, I've had House legislators call me and tell me that Stuart Adams, if you touch his bills, he'll call you and scream at you and threaten to shut down your ability to pass legislation because you've crossed him. And he is horrible, a horrible, horrible person. And then also the whole thing with, he changed the law to make it, to lessen the penalties for rape because of his granddaughter. So his granddaughter was 18 in high school when she raped a 13-year-old. So it's statutory rape. He could not consent. And Stuart Adams changed the law so that if you're 18 and in high school, the penalties are less than if you were 18 and out of high school, which makes no sense because you're an adult either way. Okay. He also, now he did that after his daughter raped the 13-year-old, but he also wrote a letter of support to his granddaughter. He wrote to the court, and he has not released what that letter says. And I have requested it multiple times. He doesn't even respond to emails because I would like to see what he wrote to the judge. Did you say, I am the Senate president when you signed it, for example, because you would have been involved in the confirmation of the judge. I want to know, and I think if he won't release that, he should not be reelected to office. Jensen says, rumor is that Doug is winning. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, because, and this is why I said I hope Dan wins, but I think there's a lot of goodwill towards Doug. I think that's definitely true if you come out here. And a lot of people know him and his family from like high school football and maybe some other connections within the area, stuff like that. It's caused a real split, though, in terms of where people that you would traditionally consider conservatives fall. You know, like Trent Staggs endorsed Fifia. I didn't really endorse. I just told people that I'm voting for Dan McKay, and I've talked about it, but I don't really endorse people, and I don't know my endorsement push anyone anyway. But then, like, and you can kind of see it. There's people on both sides of that one. So we'll see where that turns out. We should know next week, I think. Stuart Adams, Braden Hess, and Stephanie Hollist. We have, and I just hope Stuart doesn't win, but with this three-way split, I think people think he's going to win, which is unfortunate. In House District 48, we have, let's see, Nick Anderson versus Jake Hunsaker. I've gotten multiple flyers from both of these guys too. So there's obviously a lot of money in these races, which I'm surprised by. I don't know where this one ends up either, to be honest with you, because I could not tell. I'm confused by the race personally because I thought my impression of Jake Hunsaker is like he is, or is it Hunsaker, that he is establishment. And then I would assume that Nick would be kind of the conservative one. But I honestly don't know, and I don't know, because I asked Jake about it. I didn't ask Jake. Jake texted me and told me that he's not establishment. And I was like, okay, now I'm confused. Anyway, so that's one. Mike is here, so I got just two more quick ones. So we'll see where that one ends up. Then there's the County Council District 5 race in Salt Lake County, and this is Chris Null and Tracy Crockett. Another one I don't know where this is going to end up. It's an interesting race as well. I think Chris Null probably has higher name ID because he ran the party for 4 years than Tracy does. And they're both, you can ask them both questions. And so, so Mr. Producer says Chris will win. Okay, so there you go. I guess that's okay. And then the county commissioners in Box Elder County, 2 of them have primary races. I'm interested to see where that goes because of the whole data center issue. Like, does it have an impact on that race or not? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I know there was a poll done by some independent group that said 70% of Box Elder residents oppose the data center. So will that translate into getting those guys out of office? I don't know. It's a good question though. Okay. Let's let me get where I am here. Okay, we can bring Mike Carey on. Okay. Hey Mike, how are you?
Good. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
Nice. How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, man. It's been just wrapping up the day.
Yeah.
I start work at 7 on Mondays. So
it's an early day for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't we start with Mr. Producer says, "Hey Mike, happy Monday."
What's going on, Dwayne? Long time no see.
Do you have any predictions on primary races? Do you have any thought? Or do you even? I think you have to be neutral, right? So you're probably just watching this to see like where it ends up.
I can give you my opinion on some of the Democrat races.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously the big one is CD1 with the new Gibson district. I think it's going to be interesting. McAdams is certainly Ben McAdams is certainly the favorite, but there's no shortage of hyper progressivism in the the Democrat Party in Salt Lake County. So that could, conventional wisdom would say Ben is the odds-on favorite, but I do think that there's a threat there from potentially 2 other candidates, Nate Bluen and Liban Mohammed. So I'll be real curious. to see how that goes.
Okay.
As far as the rest of the county, I'm really, that's the only race I'm paying attention to. The DA's race, I guess, is interesting too, with Sim Gill and his opponent. Sim Gill's track record as a DA has been atrocious. I think a lot of that has come to light in the last year, especially. We all knew it, but in the last year, we've certainly seen the data drop to support it. The recent 1983 civil rights case should be revolting even to the most progressive liberal. He took this kid who defended himself and doubled down on supporting a member of his team from the prosecutor from his team who was shacking up with a detective who wound up charging the kid. The kid spent, I think, close to 2 years behind bars before he was released on 2 separate stints. And the judge, my understanding is the judge threw it out. So what are you kidding me? So, and that to me is just corruption straight to the top. So, we're either going to fire him in June or we're going to fire him in November.
Yes, I hope so. That one or the other. I have seen a few Republicans because I don't think there's primaries all over the county, right? So I have seen.
We have 8, okay,
8, okay.
in the Republican Party. It is a light year for primaries.
Okay,
so let me go down the list here real quick. I'm not going to give any. You're correct. As chair, I can't comment on favorites or preference or anything like that. But if you actually go to the Salt Lake County GOP website, I believe that there is a graphic that shows who's active in primaries for the county. So in House District 38, Gloria Vindes won convention. Her opponent used the signature route and has forced a June primary. House District 44, Jordan Tusher was the convention nominee with 62.5%. The only reason I know that is because I just looked it up because Carl Jurek, the treasurer, just asked me for it. And then State School Board 11, Terry Hutchinson, who is State School Board 11 is not a county convention race. It's actually a state race because it's multi-county.
Yeah.
He won convention he won the state convention, and I believe he's running it against an incumbent. So we actually have a canvassing event on our calendar tomorrow. It's got out to all the precinct chairs down at the south end of the valley. It's on the county calendar. And then everyone below the line in a primary are candidates were the top 2 finishers who did not get 60% at convention. So they were not the party's nominee, but they did pass through convention. So they go to the June primary. You got Dan McKay and Doug Fiafia in Senate District 18, Chris Knoll and Tracy Crockett in Council 5, Trina Christensen and Nicole McDermott in State School Board 8. House District 41, you got Darren Croft and Aaron Russo. And then House District 48, Nick Anderson and Jake Hunsaker. Monique Ketchum was a late addition to the flyer because her primary opponent withdrew from the race after the ballots had been printed.
Oh, okay.
So speaking with the county clerk's office, while those ballots had gone out, people in House District 35, their votes, if they return a ballot for that race, it's not even going to be counted because she is the nominee already for November.
Okay, got it. So, okay. So it's funny. Where I live, actually, 3 of I'm in SD 18, County Council 5, and House District 48. So
yeah,
I got 3. But what I've heard from some Republicans is they're actually going and getting the Democrat primary ballot and voting because they don't have any primary where they are, and they felt like that was a better way for them to handle it.
So, I've heard that too. I don't have any opinion on that. They're entitled to do it. The Democrats have an open primary. I don't have a primary where I live. I'm in House District 43 and Senate District 19. I didn't even get a ballot. So, but I'm aware of people that are doing that.
Yeah. Does it impact your status as a Republican if you do that?
No, not at all.
Okay. So it's like a free.
You just can't vote in both primaries. So if you're a Republican in one of these races, and we would encourage you obviously to vote in our own primary. But I understand that has happened. So I've also heard some of the criticism of non-Democrat Party members voting in that, saying stay in your own lane. And it's like, if anybody would like to see the thousands of crappy emails I have in response to the party's automated birthday email that goes out based on voter information, the party sends out an email automatically.
Like a happy birthday email.
Hey, happy birthday! Thank you for being a member of the Republican Party. And I've got probably 1,000 colorful responses from people swearing off the Republican Party. It's like, well, it's not. I'm guessing you're one of those crossovers that doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, right. That's really funny. I didn't know that. Okay, so let's talk about the voting thing, because I know that's been a little bit of a controversy out there. I'll pull up your
tweet.
What was that?
Didn't I tweet it at you?
Yeah. So what I was going to say is, I think that what Michael Clara had said is that there is a possibility, based on what he had looked at, that on the right side of the hall, when Judy Reeks-Rohner switched her vote from yes to no, that had been counted twice. I think that is what the allegation is. And so it sounds like you have a response to that. So you want to talk about that?
That's not true. And I made Michael aware of that, and copied Judy and the gentleman who counted the votes, who gave a very lengthy description of what actually transpired. And there's a couple things to note here. One, the right side of the room, my right, I'm up at the podium, right?
Yeah,
so
I'll pull up his, because he has a map in his that might help, just so people can visualize.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the right side. Okay. It was not 41, it was 40. And let me explain why. If you go back to my scratch pad that I shared with you, there's 3 edits on this page. Okay. Yeah. The first edit is in the yes column for R, for right. Okay. And it went from 41 to 40. Why is that? Well, because Roy Piscadlo, who came up was on his way up to the stage, goes 41. And then he turns around and goes, no, 40. Okay. And this was after. So what happened was Judy changed her vote with Roy. Mm-hmm. And we conferred with the parliamentarian. He said, yeah, you can change your vote. Okay. Now, we had not voted for the no's yet. Okay. We had not even received the numbers yet for the center section or the left section. Okay.
Okay.
That's the first edit. 41 got changed to 40. Okay. The second edit, I miswrote 39 for the left side in the center column. I moved it down. That's the third edit. Okay. And then the second edit. The third edit is scratched out below 126 on the no column. That was the vote that I did not need to cast after conferring with the parliamentarian that the vote had passed. I didn't need to break any ties.
Okay.
126 to 126. I don't know what to tell people.
Okay, so wait, so sorry, let me just make clear. So the center cross out, the 39 to 51 was just 39 should have been to the right of the L.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Here's my question on this. So it ends up at 126. 126 is a tie. That means it failed, right?
Correct.
Bringing people back. I'm kind of wondering here. Because you didn't vote, right?
Nope.
And did you consider thinking? I'm just asking because I'm curious. Because to me at least, if you would have voted yes and just brought everybody back, or no, I guess either way. What did you give any thought to doing that as like a unifying kind of message thing to people? Or maybe and it could be that you don't want to. I'm just kind of curious the thinking behind it.
The motion had failed. I was not in support of bringing these people back. So okay. I did not vote.
Okay. So that answers the question. And then I guess...
let's talk about the unifying thing for a second here. Because this is...
Yeah.
This is a big misnomer I've heard now since September of last year. Unify the party, unify the party, unify the party. I would love to have seen these calls for unity when 16 or 17 people on the executive committee were being referred to authorities for criminal prosecution. I don't remember hearing any calls for unity or, trying to bring the temperature down. We discussed that in executive committee where we meet monthly in the pursuant 2 months, but there was zero interest after, now mind you, this is after the October 24th article, I think it was on KUER, where they did a big piece on is it legal for parties to endorse in municipal races? And the
I didn't know they did that. Okay. Well, I don't remember.
And the director of elections in the LG's office said, yes, it was absolutely legal. So you would think that there would be some walking back or retraction or anything. No, I mean, to this day, we're criminals. So in the eyes of a few.
Oh, okay. I see. Because, like on the legal part, I agree with you that the party can get involved in these. In fact, I think they should. I think it's actually bizarre.
Absolutely, we should.
Yeah,
I don't know if I have the ability to share screen, but thanks to the way
you can do it. Yeah.
Thanks to the Wayback Machine, I could show you something here. Let me.
Yeah, there's a button at the bottom. You can share it. Because the Democrats do it, don't they? Yeah.
The Democrats dumped $1 million into municipal races last year.
Yeah, that's been my.
Bear with me here. So let me see here. How do I share?
Do you see there's a little, Mr. Producer, can he?
I got it. I got it.
Okay.
Yep. I got it.
Yeah, the little, yeah.
Let me just close.
Okay, add to the scene. There you go.
Okay, so this is the KUER article from the 23rd, pardon me, where Ryan Kelly, the director of elections for the LG's office, said there's nothing wrong with a party endorsing a candidate as long as their names appear on the ballot just as the name. Endorsements are totally legal and above board. And then here's what the Democrats had on their website last fall. Okay. They had a tab for municipal endorsements, and they went, I think there was, let's see, 3 times 18 cities that they endorsed municipal candidates in.
Yeah.
Or 17 cities in one Parks and Rec district for the Ochre Rec and Parks. I'm not even sure where that is, but Alta, Centerville, Clearfield, Cottonwood Heights, Draper, Holiday, Kearns, Midvale, Mill Creek, Murray, Ogden, Ochre, Park City, Sandy, South Salt Lake, West Valley City, West Jordan, and South Jordan. Most of those cities in Salt Lake County.
Yep. Okay, I guess maybe the follow-up question to this is, I think was part of the contention from the 8, I think, is that it wasn't the proper process to be able to do the endorsements. And so I'm just wondering, well, maybe talk about that. It may be that you disagree with their interpretation of the bylaws in terms of how to do the endorsements for the municipal races. Is there an effort now to set up a process so that the party can endorse in municipal races? Because again, I agree with you that we actually need to be involved in these races if we're going to build the party.
Not only to build the party, but this is how you stave off Democrats taking control of the House and the Senate.
Yep.
They get name recognition through municipal endorsements. This is directly out of the blueprint for Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if people can believe what they want to believe, as we know at this point, but go pick up a copy of that book, and you'll see that plays a major part in how Colorado went from a red state to a blue state in less than 6 years.
Yep, I've read that book. That book is scary. It is exactly what's happening here, 100%. So,
yep. So let's talk about what the bylaws allow and don't allow. Okay. again, last fall in August, news articles coming out. Democrats are going to dump $1 million into municipal races. I think they supported 32 candidates, something like 28 won. Okay, statewide.
Wow.
That's a pretty good ratio. Okay,
Yeah.
and $1 million across a bunch of municipal races is a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I spoke to a couple people that had done this before, including Chris Knoll, my predecessor as chair, here's all I was told. We have endorsed people in the past, municipal candidates, okay? And there was some hair on it because we didn't do a good job of it. Okay, duly noted. What happened? I got told what happened. Okay, I call my friend Christy Henshaw, who's the chair of the Utah County Republican Party.
Yeah.
And she says, hey, our process is fully stipulated in our bylaws. Great. Okay. I'm going off of precedent, and I'm going off of what this says right here in our bylaws, right on page 1. Okay. And I'm trying to share again.
Okay. Yeah, but the Utah County Republican Party has an explicit process for it, right? Yeah. So I've heard about that.
So this is right on page 1 of our bylaws. Okay. Purpose of the party. Actively facilitate the election of qualified Republicans to Salt Lake County local government and legislative office. Okay. Enlist the participation of all Republicans in party functions and election campaigns. Okay. Promote Republican principles and the party platform. Okay. And then D, here's the operative one here. Support Republican candidates and elected officials at all levels of government.
Okay.
Now, working off the precedent that this had been done by previous chairs, even if it was done poorly. Okay. I'm not throwing shade at Chris or anybody else. I'm just saying we learn from our mistakes, right? This is an all volunteer organization. There's no playbook on every single nut and bolt of what we as a Republican Party, the largest county party in the state, need to do. Okay. Yep. And I'm not suggesting the bylaws should be turned into a Lego instruction manual on how to get from point A to Z. I hear your dog again.
Yeah, he's taking off.
I heard something on that hardwood floor. I'm not suggesting we have a playbook for every single thing we try to do. That's not how boards work or how bylaws work. It's not multiple boards. So operating off of coming from a place of we want to obviously we got to do something to counter the Dems, all right, because we knew about this massive influx of mostly outside money, mind you, not from Utah. I think like 80% of it was from outside the state. Okay, of that $1 million. Imagine that, shocker.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, not surprised at all, right? So, and the fact that we had a precedent, we talked about this in August, and we created a form for municipal candidates, Republicans, to request the party's endorsement. Okay. Didn't mean they were guaranteeing it. We were guaranteeing it. We just said, okay, you're requesting our endorsement. And then, but one of the key hangups from previous endorsing or municipal endorsement problems that was communicated to me was that we had, in some cases, 2 Republicans in a race, and one Republican that requested the endorsement, and the other Republican didn't even know that this was a thing. Okay.
Okay.
What's the first thing I did? What do you think the first thing I did was when we received an endorsement request from a candidate?
I would assume then you contact the other person.
We contacted the opponent. We said, your opponent has requested the endorsement of the Republican Party. Before we grant that endorsement, we're giving you 14 days to submit the same endorsement request form. I will send you the link again, okay, because we had sent it out to every single registered Republican running in a municipal race. Okay, whether it gets through or not or goes to spam, I can't control that, right? But as a courtesy, and I told the requesting, the candidate who requested it initially, in the case where you have 2 Republicans running, I told them the first person I'm calling is your opponent.
Right.
So there was full transparency around the process. And what we even told the first person who requested in that scenario where 2 Republicans are running is Even if you secure the endorsement, we're not giving it to you until after the other person has had their chance too. Okay, so that when we grant those endorsements, if we grant 2 endorsements for the same race, meaning these are two reliable conservatives, you can't go wrong with either one. That was the intention, okay? Or that was the plan. And we're not going to grant number 1 until we hear number 2. Okay?
Okay.
So we got to the September executive committee meeting after 40 minutes of deliberations or debate and discussion. The motion to remove all municipal endorsements, there were 5 that evening on the agenda. The motion to remove all 5 endorsements was failed. Okay. It only got like 5 or 6 votes. Okay. To remove it. A second motion was made by the former vice chair to consider endorsement requests only in races where 1 Republican was running, effectively eliminating 4 people of the 5. The only one remaining was Cindy Sharkey, who is a registered Republican. Whether you agree with her or not on her politics is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay?
I've heard that term before.
That's
what Amy says to me. I am a registered Republican.
What's that?
I said that's what Amy Winder Newton says to me.
Oh,
I'm a registered Republican, Goud.
Cindy Sharkey's a registered Republican.
Yeah.
Okay. She's in good standing. Okay. And she was running against Monica Zoltansky, who is an independent who pretty much votes Democrat 90% of the time. Yeah. I like both of these women. Okay. I've met both of them. I've had lunch broke bread with both of them. They're good people. I don't agree with them on 100% of their policy initiatives. And they know that. I told them that. Okay. Yeah. I'm a housing hawk when it comes to like densification and zoning and taking control away from local cities and city councils and letting the state take control of it, like they tried to do with the Beehive Development Agency, I think 1.5 years, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So the motion to remove 4 of the 5 endorsement requests passes. So we're left with 1 endorsement request, Cindy Sharkey.
Yep.
Okay. Throughout that process of discussing it, I reiterated what had happened in the past, on points of information or points of clarification from the executive committee. I explained how we were going to address it going forward. And then ultimately, we have talked about this with the bylaws committee about, hey, you've got Utah counties got this in their bylaws. Why don't you go start there and talk to Christy Henshaw and her executive team and find out what they would do differently, given that they've had, I think, 1 or 2 municipal election cycles to run their bylaw process, and let's improve it.
Yep. Makes sense.
Okay. And so that's the task. That's one of the tasks I've asked the bylaws committee to take a look at. I'm hopeful that they will present a bylaw amendment that specifically lays out the process and the rules for municipal endorsements.
Yep.
Either at the August CCM or the one before the end of the year.
Okay. So there is a path forward on this.
Yes, I do believe there is.
Okay, just real quick. Hey, JT show. Yeah, it is Mike Carey. We had a question. Who is this? Is it Mike Carey? Yes, it's Mike Carey. Okay. So then so that's good. I actually think that'll probably resolve a lot of whatever. To the extent
it's certainly going to. I mean, if it gets added to our bylaws, it's going to. Your people's opinions on the matter won't matter.
Yeah, it'll be clear. I am wondering. So then the next thing though that happened is that like there was a removal of the vice chair, and I don't know if you want to address that or talk about it at all. Like maybe if people are concerned about that, if there are questions about it.
I understand the concern. The problem is that like in any organization, okay, you have to rely. There has to be confidence amongst all the officers of that organization to respect the decisions of the organization. And we cannot rely on that anymore. So we made the very difficult decision to declare her chair vacant because the party was becoming paralyzed with this matter. There's no respect for the decision of the executive committee. There's been all kinds of allegations made, which I have addressed repeatedly. I can't, I guess my excuse is I have a full-time job in addition to a full-time volunteer job with the party.
How dare you?
I don't spend my entire day on social media ginning up more controversy or stretching the truth. So, or making lies through omission.
Okay. Okay. Well, so now we'll switch topics here because here's what I want to know.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people want to know. So like primaries next Tuesday.
Yep.
What do you want Republicans in the county to do after the primary to the general election? And
okay.
Because I do not want the county to turn more blue.
Okay. Let's take the primary first. If you live in any of those 3 races, well, we have 8 races, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where there's a primary, none of them are countywide.
Yeah.
But if you live in House District 38, House District, which is Gloria Vindis, the convention nominee, House District 44, Jordan Tusher, or State School Board 11, which is like this really southernmost lip of Salt Lake County, a little bit of Harriman and a little bit of Bluffdale. You know, it's like the area around the Zions Bank Stadium, which is, you know, where the rugby team used to play, and there's like a soccer academy there, a very high density area actually. So we're having a canvassing event for Terry Hutchinson tomorrow night. That's on the county calendar. We need to support these nominees. If you are against SB 54, you should be volunteering your time to help get these people elected.
Okay.
Through the primary. That's the bottom line. Everyone else below the line, the party is not involved. We provide them with the equal amount of data. We provide them with all the same resources. We don't put our thumb on the scale or help one candidate over the other. We've fielded and responded to every request that we've received. Okay. Yeah. So that's between now and the primary.
Okay.
After the primary and we get into the general season, we are doing a lot of planning between what's little left of June and all of July and August. Okay. At the August CCM, which we should have a date announced here in the next week. In the next week, we're trying to book a school. Okay. The August CCM, we're going to lay out the game plan. I'm going to do that in my chair's report. And we're going to lay out the game plan for how to win these countywide races. Because I'll say it 1,000 times. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The countywide races that we have in November are the most important races in the entire state. And that's what I'm telling all of the other chairs of every other county in this state for the Republican Party. All right. That's what the state party has gotten behind. All right. You have Riley Owen in CD1. That is absolutely a winnable race. I don't care what anybody says. Okay. Especially if you get someone other than Ben McAdams as the Democrat nominee. All right. Whether it's Sim Gill or his primary opponent, I forget his name, but on the DA's race. Let me explain. Let me boil it down to 2 primary things that the Republicans are running on this fall. And then you'll hear this from all the countywide campaigns, trickle down to the individual House districts and the county council district races and the Senate district races and the USBE races.
Okay.
There's 2 things on the ballot this fall. All right. Preserve the council. Why is that critical? We have a 5-4 majority on the county council right now in favor of Republicans. We have an opportunity to preserve that with Kathleen Anderson, who beat Lori Stringham at convention with a majority more than 60%. Yep. Okay. And she's going to be going up against her Democrat opponent. It's critical that we win that race. It's critical that we win District 5, whoever the nominee is there, whether it's Chris or Tracy. And it's critical that we win the Mike Byrd race, he's the nominee in Amy's current seat, Amy Winder Newton's current seat. If we win those 3 races, we maintain a 5-4 majority on the county council, which means we can have a bigger say in the budget. But in the DA and sheriff's race, okay, those 2 offices, you got sheriff, our sheriff nominee is Shane Manwaring. Our DA candidate is Kent Davis. 2 rock stars, man. Go look them up. If you haven't dug into their backgrounds, I expect everybody to be wearing out 1 or 2 pieces of shoes, you know, between Labor Day and Election Day canvassing and knocking doors for those 5 candidates. And here's why. You want to preserve the council, so otherwise you'll have a Democrat-controlled majority, which means Jenny Wilson gets a blank check. Okay? She'll get every program she asks for from the Democrat caucus. You want Shane and Kent because they they make up 3/4 of the general fund commitments that are paid for by property taxes. When you go back last year and it's like, oh, it was, some people like to call it, well, we had a tax cut. No, you reduced the increase from 20 to 14 point something percent.
Yeah, right.
That's still an increase. Okay. I've heard that. I think it's kind of funny. If I had that approach in my day job, I wouldn't be employed much longer. But 3/4, okay, almost, I forget if it's 74 or 76% of the 2026 budget was for public safety. And that's the DA's office and the sheriff's office. We control the budget with those 5 races right there. And I don't, of course, I want to, Chris Harding has done a great job at auditor. We need to reelect him for another 4 years. He's a fantastic auditor, does a great job. And Chris, I mean, I don't know anybody that has anything bad to say about Chris. Okay. But those are the most important races in the state, along with CD1. And our focus is going to be on get out the vote. We know for a fact that in the northeast corner of the valley, where it's predominantly Democrat voting bloc, they get very high turnout, almost 90%. In the other 3 corners of the county, it's like 60 to 70. Okay.
Really?
It's a lot easier for us to increase 3 to 4% than it is for them to increase 1%. And if you look at the Rochelle Morris race from 2 years ago, she beat me in the primary and then lost to Natalie Pinckney in the general by like 7,500 votes, something like that. That's less than 1 percentage point, or just over a percentage point. I forget what the number was, but it was so close. So if we can drive turnout in the reddest areas of the county and lose the apathy that's been slowly costing us the control of Salt Lake County, which eventually I would argue is going to lose control of the state.
Yep.
And maybe it's a slower version of the Colorado blueprint, but it's still the same thing. Okay. If we don't preserve those, then we go into 2028 with a real challenge. First of all, our property taxes will probably go up again because Jenny Wilson's going to get every program she asks for. And, the DA's right, they're going to keep focusing on these diversion programs that just suck money and have no key performance indicators on how well they work. Okay. It's just a mess. It's a hot mess. So those are the most important races in the state. That's been our message to all the county party chairs, so that on June 26th or 7th, when all the last of the mail-in ballots have been counted and everybody, 95% of the people running races in the state, okay, can kind of take a breather and say, whoo, all right, now I cruise into November with a plus 20 margin to start with, because they're not here. Exactly.
Yep. Okay. Well, we're at time, but thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Good to see you again.
And and we'll have you back, because I know I want to keep people I want people to get engaged and try to turn us redder.
If you don't have anything to do tomorrow night, go on the county calendar. We got a park identified. We're going to go canvas for Terry Hutchinson and try to secure 100. We want 100% slate of convention nominees on the ballot this fall.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Take care.
Bye. Okay. Well, that was good. I appreciate him coming on and answering questions. Okay, so Mr. Producer says, do not Coloradicate Utah. Yes. And I think that's what Mike is kind of getting at with that strategy with you, because I do think it is Salt Lake County that is the problem. It's bleeding everywhere, because if you notice, the border areas of Davis, that border of Salt Lake and Utah, are also beginning to turn blue, and I do think it's our fault. So, if we can get Salt Lake County under control and start to kind of turn back that tide, it would help with the rest of the state as well. So let's help out with that. It's been a pleasure, and JT shows, good Lord, this gaslighter. So why didn't you respect her opinions? Bullshit. Look what they did to Clara. Well, I can't. If you want me to ask questions, we got to make them respectful. We have to be respectful to people, right? I'm not trying to criticize you. Just saying, I can't say to Mike, you're a gaslighter. Okay. So anyway, It's been a pleasure as always. You've been listening to the Goud Crowd. We're live on my X handle, which is at Goud 4 Utah, and then also at the Main Street Media Utah X handle, YouTube, and Rumble, and then kmmu.org. We are live every Monday from 5 to 7, almost every Monday unless I have to take a break. In the interim, if you have any information you want to send me or want to communicate with me, the best way to do that is on X. And again, my handle is at Goud, Goud, 4 Utah. It has been a pleasure as always, and we will see you next week. Thank you.